Colombian judge uses ChatGPT to make decision in legal first. AI formed legal argument in health insurance case over whether autistic child should get covered. Harriet Alexander for the Daily Mail. Judge Juan Manuel Padilla Garcia, that's a double L, and presiding over a court in the Caribbean city of Cartagena.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce that either.
All the Latinos, and yes, I'm saying Latino because that's what they say. Latino can come at us in the comments to correct my my horrible pronunciation. Anyway, used ChatGPT to assist his January 30 decision. This was at the end of last year. It's very recent.
That's what the news is.
Exactly. Oh my God, it's new. Padilla was ruling in a case of an autistic child, Salvador, whose family were taking legal action to try and get help with their medicals. Padilla insisted that ChatGPT aided his research but did not make the final decision. He said the conclusions were his own and ruled in favor of the child. What do you think about this?
The first thing is that the headline cracks me up because when I first saw it, the original story, it was they made it sound like the ChatGPT was the one who made the judgment. And in a way, an argument can be made for that because the way that the judge used it, he basically did refer to it as though it was an expert. So there was a thing that happened in the US pretty recently. I don't know if you remember, there was a guy a few years back who made a bot that would respond to traffic tickets. And what he did, he racked up like $1,000 worth of traffic tickets in LA, I believe. And he had turned around and created some kind of a bot after doing a bunch of Google searches to figure out how to beat a traffic ticket. And then he created a bot for this, and then he started adding things onto it so that it would make calls for you or do whatever, like emails or chat, however it would need to contact the DMV, to do it for airports, to try to do like lost luggage claims and insurance claims, all sorts of things that he has expanded this thing to do. And a few months ago, he put out a tweet and a bunch of this little marketing campaign saying that he would pay $1 million for any attorney who would agree to let them, he wanted an attorney who already had a case that was going to the Supreme Court, and he wanted them to let him put earbuds into the attorney and then have the attorney repeat everything that this bot that he had created was saying so that he could prove that it could argue a case in the Supreme Court. The problem is in the US, the Supreme Court especially does not allow the use of any technology within the courtroom. You can't wear earbuds, you can't have your phone on, you can't have any recording devices. This is true in most courts anyways, but the Supreme Court of the United States is very particularly well guarded, has very, very high security, and the idea that an attorney would try to sign up to have $1 million given to them to try to break that law was kind of absurd. Legal Eagle actually did a video earlier this week on that guy. What eventually happened was that he had to pull it. A bunch of lawyers explained to this guy that he wrote a lawyer bot and does not even understand law himself. He himself does not have a law degree. Interesting to think about is that the people that wrote ChatGPT also do not have a law degree at OpenAI. They have a lawyer now because they're getting sued for certain things, but they're engineers. They don't know anything about what the law is. They have to trust whatever the internet is saying. So whatever ChatGPT scraped about the law is going to be from all these different lawyers' websites. They're not likely to get into JSTOR because that thing's locked down. That's how the whole Aaron Schwartz, that's how he died, was because he was being over prosecuted for downloading JSTOR. So they couldn't get the laws themselves. They would have to Google any of the lawyers that are doing SEO stuff and writing about certain cases. And to think that in the US, we're not allowing a lawyer to even do such a thing, but in Colombia, the judge themselves are doing the thing is fascinating to think about. I mean, in this case, it helped for the kid with autism got the judgment against the healthcare system, but it makes me wonder how this will affect our legal system on any end if lawyers and judges are taking their advice from ChatGPT. Like, I don't know. We have to probably do some tests to find out how politically which direction this bot leans based off of the information it was given.
I mean, besides this, the politics aspect, which that's a fair point, but I think that's even, getting a little ahead of it. I think just accuracy, right? Just basic accuracy. I think that the story you're talking about, I think I might have seen that with the traffic case. That I think I might have heard about that reported on by the YouTuber and lawyer Steve Leto for Leto's Law. I think I saw it there, or it might have been a similar one. Robot lawyer was going to, help argue a case in front of court. I think that was just a general traffic court, not the Supreme Court. So it might not be the same one, but
Well,
sounds
it
like
was the
similar
traffic
details.
bot guy trying to do it in the Supreme Court. He was trying to find a Supreme Court lawyer, but it was still the traffic bot guy.
Okay, it might be the same company, but a different case. Regardless, instances it seems like did not go through because he received advice that it was a bad idea, or just logistically impossible, like you said, for technical reasons with the technology and body scanners and whatnot. Places do have security, obviously, they're federal buildings. There's just the accuracy question, because when Latel, for example, talked about AI lawyers or AI, assisting when it comes to, say, lemon law, the AI could give you like basic information that you could get off of a Google search, like dictionary definitions for stuff. When it gets to the actual like nitty gritty things that an expert would be more suited to answer as far as questioning goes, like let's say it can do level 1 basically correctly, but when it gets to level 2 and level 3, that's where it fucks. Like we can curse. That's where it fucks up. And it's similar with mechanics and repair guys, like another YouTuber. You can see you're getting a sense of my suggestions already. Louis Rossman was talking about how when you put ChatGPT to the test as far as like how to fix a phone, or what are the procedures and issues at play with right to repair or Apple repair programs, it can do the level 1 stuff. It can tell you like what your options are and kind of give you an idea of like pros and cons of going to the Apple geniuses versus a independent repair shop. When it goes to level 2, like which is better or why certain things are the way they are. Like why is it that independent repair shops sometimes have problems getting Apple parts and schematics and this and that. It really can't give you answers, because that's the kind of thing that a subject matter, technically expert is the right term, but like a subject matter expert would be better suited to answer, and you wouldn't necessarily just get that off of an article on Google. That's really where these robots, these AIs are getting all their information. They're crawling the internet, and like you said, there's a limit in terms of time. Like if the information is too recent, it's not going to have it. But also, just if the information isn't on the internet at all, it's not going to have it. And that's where it becomes a problem. Presumably, in this case, the judge was basically using ChatGPT to Google stuff, in a sense. Like he was just like shortcutting work that he himself or maybe his clerks could have done. And if that is the case, then maybe it's not too bad. But if it is getting into more difficult, like layer 2, layer 3 areas where you're basically asking ChatGPT to be like an expert witness, like in My Cousin Vinny, like if you're asking ChatGPT to be Marissa Tomei, that might be a little awkward.
You're right on the line of where humans versus AI. Everyone complains about AI taking their job or worries about AI taking their job. And it's not necessarily a thing where you can be replaced by AI. I mean, if your only job is to on an assembly line to sit there and just close the box every time the open boxes that are all put there, and they just don't have that one machine and your job is to do that, you can easily be replaced. But you're still going to have somebody who's there to think about things and have strategize, come up with the actual human thoughts and human context that this does not have. It's one thing if I were to defend myself and I used ChatGPT as some way, or any kind of whatever this bot was based on
AI,
yeah, any kind of AI. If I were to defend myself and try to do that, this would be a better than that scenario. But hiring a lawyer, no matter how bad that lawyer is, I mean, they could have been a C student, but they still probably have enough information and enough experience that they are going to know the process of the court and how to actually get you through this, because it's not as simple as just having an AI do it. Yeah, you can't
exactly.
You can Google your job, but you can't Google all of it.
No, yeah, exactly. A bad lawyer or a amateur mechanic is generally going to be better at whatever their job is than a literal machine that is essentially trying to emulate what a human could do off of brute force and publicly available information, which again, what's publicly available is not necessarily equivalent to what a person who actually does the thing is. That's why, we get on-the-job training. That's why there's apprenticeships. That's why this stuff is passed down. You can explain in a book or an article on Wikipedia or Google or whatever how electricity works. You can't necessarily use that to then have a robot, let alone a person, with no actual expert training manage a power grid, for example.
Another quick example of this, too, is in the medical field, this has come up to where surgery, for example, being a surgeon is probably one of the hardest things that you can do in the medical field because you're holding very small things, these things take hours, so you're in like a marathon of physical and mental exertion.
It's a combination of sewing, manual dexterity, subject matter expertise, because you are a doctor who needs to know a lot about human anatomy and particular areas of human anatomy, specializations, brain surgery, heart surgery, this and that, and endurance, because you're usually doing an operation that lasts anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours.
And so they're trying to use what's ostensibly like a 3D printer or a CNC machine kind of thing to do these kind of things to help them out to where it relieves some of that pressure, but then there's a lot of people who are terrified. Like, I don't know how I would feel if I was going under the knife and I knew that it was a machine right now. I know in 20 years when they're refined and everything's perfect, like, I would rather have the machine than the human, but right now I don't want to be that because I've used 3D printers. Like, it gets halfway through printing a chess piece and then all of a sudden something messes up and it just starts doing some crazy stuff. Like, it only takes one small mistake before you're getting stitches in places that you did not need stitches.
Losing a sponge times 10 potentially. There's also like that goes into, and we're getting into a bit of a digression, but it goes into like the whole AI driving situation, right? And like our tolerance level for these things. It's one thing to recognize that a machine will be imperfect, especially when it's essentially brute forcing its task and using publicly available information to outsource knowledge and thinking. It's another thing when we're essentially asking a kind of autopilot to, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. ChatGPT, take the wheel. Or, Uber, take the wheel. Tesla, take the wheel. And it is very good, arguably superhuman. But what's our tolerance of it? Right, when it comes to life and limb. Our tolerance level for mistakes from a machine when it comes to areas of life and limb, whether it's automotive or medical, is significantly lower than it is for a human. We might be extremely upset and badly harmed by human error when it comes to vehicle operation, medicine, surgery, etc. But we would rather get that human doctor or that human driver over a computer because on some level we feel intuitively that a machine with a 90% success rate or a 10% failure rate is worse than a human with an 80% success rate or a 20% failure rate. This is Edokwin with Brian Penny for the AI Creator Economy podcast. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You're going to get some good content throughout the week, every week.